You are loved. Let me say that again and pause for a moment to let it be felt down to your bones, in your heart of hearts, in your soul, in your mind, in the core of your being, in your very sense of self. You are loved. No qualifications, no tests, no reservations. Our faith and our tradition has wrestled with itself and with others for centuries to proclaim this fact. We have tried to qualify it, we have tried to reason our way out of it, and we have fallen short of living it out completely. And yet we continue to proclaim that each and every person, each and every being is loved. That includes you, that includes me, that includes those who we personally struggle to love, sometimes for very good reasons. That includes those who the powerful dismiss and the very people doing the dismissing all at once. Our theme of the month is mercy, an act of forgiveness that goes beyond logic and beyond deservedness, as Anne Lamott writes. Mercy is radical kindness. Mercy is not deserved. It involves absolving the unabsolvable, forgiving the unforgivable. Unconditional love is perhaps the most expansive form of mercy, and to love unconditionally does not mean we are overshadowed by those we love, or that our needs, our lives, our safety, our concerns take a back seat to others. Unconditional love needs to be practiced in the container of covenantal relationship, or relationships that offer mutual respect, mutual kindness, mutual mercy, and mutual love. When I perform weddings, I have a set of readings I offer couples to choose from. Sometimes they also bring their own too. But one that often is chosen comes from On Marriage by Khalil Gibran. It is popular enough that you may have heard it at a ceremony you've witnessed, or even from your own. It even appeared in our blue hymnal. From Khalil Gibran. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another of your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together, and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of life can contain your hearts. And stand together, yet not too near together, for the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. Khalil's words help us imagine an expansive form of love, not one that blurs the lines of individuals into one being, or privileges that of one over the other, but rather the idea that even when in a deeply connected relationship, we remain whole in ourselves too. This is an idea of love that is not centered in a scarcity model of the world. We are renewed by and renew those in a truly loving relationship. This can be a challenging thing to find and to practice with just a single other person, let alone a family, a community, a congregation, a city, or a country. Sometimes we are challenged to even believe we ourselves are worthy of being seen and held and loved. Then we need to remember to extend that same respect to those we are closest to. We may be able to do this fairly easily or with some challenge, depending on our situation. Then we need to extend that circle to those we encounter daily and weekly, coworkers and people who help us throughout our days, friends and strangers. And we need to remember our own worthiness while remembering that of others. Perhaps this is where mercy comes in again, to forgive ourselves and others when we forget that expansive definition of love for a moment, or perhaps longer, to remind ourselves and others to return again to that idea when things get tough. Unitarian Universalism asks us to learn to practice this renewing form of love within and beyond our romantic relationships. To those we journey with religiously. While pastor at our congregation in Evanston, Illinois in the late 1800s, Unitarian minister James Villa Blake penned a covenant which has been adopted in some form or another by many of our congregations. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, united in the free quest of high values in religion and life. We covenant with one another to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. I think if we put the ideas of Gibran and Blake together, we have a recipe for a lived theology that centers love and works in both the personal spheres and the congregational. It is for us in community to learn to better practice love, and through love, service. It is for us to balance competing interests to find peace, to hold up a love for our fellow travelers as we journey together, and to help those we encounter too. And through it all, we are not to form a bond of love. We are not to be so connected that we lose our individuality, or that what makes us unique is consumed or overshadowed by those we are connected to. Our covenant should be connective, but not so rigid the participants are made immobile. So less like glue and more like a Wi-Fi connection. We should be able to be mobile in our lives and still in communication with each other. Another Unitarian minister, A. Powell Davies, who served All Souls in Washington, D.C., said this of relationships and love and our journeying together. When two individuals meet, so do two private worlds. None of our private worlds is big enough for us to live a wholesome life in. We need the wider world of joy and wonder, of purpose and venture, of toil and tears. What are we, any of us, but strangers and sojourners, forlornly wandering through the nighttime until we draw together and find the meaning of our lives in one another, dissolving our fears in each other's courage, making music together, and lighting torches to guide us through the dark. We belong together. Love is what we need, to love and to be loved. Let our hearts be open, and what we would receive from others, let us give. For what is given still remains to bless the giver, when the gift is love. If we are able to better practice a covenant of love, or live a life that better centers unconditional love in community, we would be able to each grow as individuals, like the oak and the cypress and the many other forms of growing things that live together in balance. And when many things form such an ecosystem, we do not just have a tree or two giving each other space to find the sun. When we do it well enough and with enough others, we have a grove of trees. We have a forest that supports the life of others while at the same time feeding our own life. That is what a healthy community that covenants around an active love, a merciful love, can produce too. I hope that we remember that our own roots need tending to in all of this, that we deserve to grow, and we need to give the support for others to do so as well. And yes, sometimes our branches will get tangled with our neighbors, but perhaps as we work out those overlapping moments, we can find ways that are better than any of us could alone. May we be a people grounded in love, a people led by love, a people accountable to love, and a people who remember that everyone is worthy of love. And remember, you are loved. So may it be.